may not know, today we celebrate our 150th anniversary. Precisely. We're here today to, it's just amazing. People coming in from all over the country. Look at this crowd. For a Saturday afternoon in June, when people could be doing other things, they're coming back to RPI to be part of something they were part of years ago that matters to them still because they wouldn't be here otherwise. That's remarkable. And we're here to honor one of our own, one of our brothers, George Michael Lowell. Much will be said today. This is such, it was suggested to me that we keep this program to 25 minutes because normally that's what a program would run before people start losing interest. And we can't do it. It's impossible. We're going to be here for a little while, but boy, is this, there will never be another opportunity like this to learn about a man who really did go out and change the world. Before that became a model of our time. Let me just read one quote from that you will see in the low gallery. And this really strikes me. This is by James C. Fletcher, who was the administrator of NASA. And he said of George Lowell, without George Lowell exactly the places he occupied from 1950 to 1976, the United States would not have been able to land men successfully on the moon beginning in 1969, nor to enter the new shuttle era of space travel beginning in 1981. That is such a strong statement that leaves no room for doubt that this one man made such a difference. And he had to start here at RPI, and he had to start with Delta Flight, and we will always be proud of that. And today, you will get to see the restored treasure of RPI, one of the jewels of campus, just as it should be. The Low Gallery. It was originally dedicated in 2002, and over the last 12 years, it's become understandably worn. But what an opportunity for us to step in and get together and respond and do something for a brother. The last few months, and by the way, very selfishly, we refuse contributions from any other person who is not a Delta Phi from RPI. And many wanted to donate, and I had to kindly ask them to understand that we're selfish about this. This is our project, because he was our brother, and we're doing it for him. And I really commend RPI for giving us the go-ahead, and I'll be thanking individuals and then for giving us the go-ahead, for allowing us to do this, and for giving us the final say of approval every step along the way. This really was our project to honor our brother. And today will not be replicated anywhere. The speakers we have all knew and worked with George Lowell. We will get an education today that nobody else has had, and really learn about it. And then the younger brothers who will continue long into the future will be able to tell their new brothers about one of our famous ones. You kind of threw me way off. We had nearly 100 brothers contribute to this in the last few months, and no more will do it in the future. This fund will remain open, and we will keep pouring money into it so that never in the future will we need to address a major facement. If things need to be changed, we'll change them because the money will be there. RPI is just great about this, and I can't thank you enough. Maybe why don't we start with that? I'd like to recognize a few people who were instrumental in making this happen. The first is Paul. Would you mind standing for a second? First is Paul Adams, Vice President for Administration. And he was the one that we went to first to step of the way. He's listened to our suggestions, and he's just been wonderful. We're not happy about you. Thank you. Rob Carney, where are you? Rob Carney, thank God. A humble man all the way to the back. Maybe that was the only seat you could find. Rob Carney is a project engineer, and I tell you, what a pleasure it was working with him. He had to listen. I'm an emotional guy. If something is wrong, I'm vocal about it. And you know, when you work with contractors, things don't always go the way they're promised and all of this. And even as late as this Tuesday, well actually this Monday, there have been 3 coats of paint on the ceiling. And it still wasn't white. And the thing that struck me is Rob took this personally. He was upset about it as I was. Let me rephrase it. He was as intent on getting things absolutely perfect as we all were. And we appreciate that so much. Great job. Thank you, Rob. I'd like to thank Institute Advancement also. Dr. Jeff Chance, my friend, Courtney Bissell, and the whole team there. Allowed us to set up this fund and did it just streamline the process for them so we could get started quickly. They accounted for every penny. They send me reports on a regular basis for the online contributions that come in, the checks that come to me, and the copies that send them to Courtney. It's been a great working relationship that will continue in the future. Jeff. For advancement events, Kelly Dasher and Lee Lamar put this on for us today. They prepared the programs, they arranged the food. You know, the response to this is incredible. I'm glad the weather was good because with all these cheers in here, it would have been difficult to host everything indoors. But Kelly, unfortunately, is recovering from surgery. But Louise, in the back there, thank you for everything. And this is precisely why we did not confine ourselves to 25 minutes. So on and on. There's one more thing I'd like to do before we get to the procedures are going to be absolutely fascinating. I want to read an email I received from Mark Lowe. George Lowe's eldest son. The brothers and alumni of Lambda Chapter Delta Phi. Roger and I shared with me the project you have undertaken to establish the George Lowe Gallery Fund and to refurbish the gallery. On behalf of the entire Lowe family, I want to thank you and tell you how moved we are by your very generous support, commitment, and the regard that you have shown for our parents and to the Lowe Gallery RPI. I presume you have all a sense of how important and integral the time that my father and mother spent at RPI was for their lives. From my father's undergraduate and graduate years at RPI, his membership in Delta Phi, to meeting and marrying my mother, a 20 years, to later time serving as president and first lady of RPI, and all the time in between, RPI was always a significant and guiding influence. I believe that everything that my father achieved was rooted in his education at RPI and his relentless pursuit of knowledge and thoroughness as he set vision, paid attention to detail, and achieved remarkable goals, first at NASA and later back at RPI. My mother and the family felt that it was very fitting to donate the papers and memorabilia of my father's NASA career to RPI's legacy of the influence that RPI had on his achievements. We were all extremely appreciative of the dedication, space, and design of the gallery that RPI created, as well as the recognition shown in naming George M. Lowe Center for Industrial Innovation. We now extend our appreciation to Delta Phi for dedicating the George Lowe Gallery Fund for continued care and maintenance of the gallery. rarely get a chance to visit campus, so we are not able to keep up with the status of Cal. We are humbled by your efforts and the attitude and care that they convey. Thank you so much. As to the anniversary reopening celebration on June 28th, I am very disappointed to say that it is unlikely that we will be able to attend. My brother John is getting married in Washington, D.C. on Friday evening, June 27th, and all my siblings will be there. If not for such a conflict, I assure you that members of the Lowell family would attend. I do hope that some of us will be able to visit not long afterwards to appreciate the care and effort that you have given and to express our thanks to Delta Phi members in person. On behalf of all of those, thank you again, best wishes. Very sincerely, Mark Paul. And now, the very interesting portion of our program. Our first guest this afternoon is Dr. Lester Gerhardt. Lester's career combines both industrial and academic experience at Bell Aerospace and RPI. At Bell, he coincidentally worked on the Apollo mission involved with the Regina B engine, the reaction control system, the visual simulation for the Earth orbital docking maneuver, and the first moon landing of the Lunar Excursion Module, the LEM, which was used to train astronauts including Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. He garnered several patents and a Bell Outstanding Mention Award. His academic career at RPI has spanned more than 40 years as professor of electrical, computer, and systems engineering, as well as in many other campus and administrative responsibilities. I first met Lester a few months ago and speaking with him about Charlottesville and immediately asked him to share his insights with us this afternoon. Please welcome Dr. Lester Gerhardt.
Thank you for caring enough, initiating, contributing, and supporting the project. And thanks to Rob, once again, I have to stand up again, he's done what he can do that. So Rob Ryan did a wonderful job, originally going way back to when the logo was created, and now on the reconstitution. And I think that I was at the original opening, which was 12 years ago on September 27, 2002. I went to one great event that very sympathetically to the Lowell family that now situated in terms of the reason for being here. I only came to half the ceremony. The other half I had to race off to sell at the hospital to see the birth of our grandson. So I am assured by my family that will not happen again. So if the phone rings, let's go. This gallery, the documentary, is a one-of-a-kind tribute to man and humanity as a whole. It exemplifies the need serving both Georgia's and legal talents, leadership, and what can be accomplished by large numbers of people working together to goals that really can only realize today. It's estimated now that some 400,000 people who touched the moon landing, the total Apollo program in one form or another over the years. So it's really quite outstanding. Let me give you a brief history. I knew the man very well. I was fortunate to be here over the years and served as chair of the ECOC department and the largest department on campus, development, very direct and George was born in Austria in 1926. He was a little over 50 years old. He was president of the University. He was following the German occupation in 1938. His family immigrated to the United States. He went to Flowersville High School, and I attended there, but I never saw it before there. But he was enrolled in Rensselaer in the autumn of 1943. He became the brother of Self-Reliance at that time as well. He then went to serve in the Army during World War II, returned in 1946 to RPI, and then was awarded a bachelor's degree in 1948, and then 2 more years later, a master's degree from RPI as well, while all in aeronautical engineering. He left here and went to work for NASA for many years, and in 1967, just reading this to get the date straight, after the horrendous fire that occurred on the pad of Apollo, he was put in charge of the Apollo spacecraft program. It could be said that there was one person that was responsible for letting man on the moon, and of course it was 400,000, including not one, but it was George Michael Lowe. I've always wondered what happened to George was in 1903. Anyone know what happened in 1903? I know you were. Kitty Hawk, with 2 brothers and their bicycles got kind of bored, and they were heavier than their machine, and flew the thing for about 120 feet. Imagine George being there, sitting down at Laurel with Wilbur saying, "Just take it easy, have enough coffee." And how many 66 years ago, just to try to get your head around the concept. 120 feet is what the moon is. So he also saw to it. He had a colleague who was very, very visionary. He saw the future of TV, which of course the company invented at that time, and he wanted the method of complete transparency to the public. He wanted to televise it. So we call it out in the Dulan, and they get born with and Alan promised to commercialize the CRT in 1947 at the radio. So it could be when we turn around in the middle of that showing again. And the sequel of that, we will see some of those videos. Yeah. So, going on from there, after Apollo, he was responsible for the Apollo Soviet hookup with the Russians, and other accomplishments. He retired in 1976. And at which time he came to Rensselaer. He served as president from 76 to 84 when he passed away. Fortunately for me, it was an opportunity to experience a lifetime. He was a friend as well as a professor. He was the years of the School of Engineering Build program on the dean itself, and President Lowe. And I would say truly a time I'll remember the technological challenge. Let me review quickly the built environment, talking about buildings and so on, not coincidentally. In and around his tenure as president, the Downey Communication Center was built, opened a little before it came there in 73, Colton Library in 76, the Johnson Engineering Center in 77, and additionally he formed a special task force in 1979. We broke ground for Rensselaer Technology Park in 81 and 82, and the first campus-based incubator in the U.S. was initiated in 1980, all obviously under his supervision. Many successful companies came out of that. I'll refer to my friend Mike, my blockholder, who's going to talk about, I'm sure, extensively, George Lowe, but particularly the accomplishments over those years at the Technology Park, which Mike directed. Under his leadership, we were the first university to receive IBM's latest 39 mainframe. We reminded that the computer before that was I hate to say this, a Rutgers hand-me-down. Rutgers decided to upgrade, they gave us a hand-me-down, and we accepted it graciously, what happened. And as soon as George showed up, we were the first university. So that's how things became symptomatic of that. The campus was alive, upbeat, positive, bubbling with enthusiasm. Seemingly unbridled enthusiasm in large part from him. His leadership, the resources that were provided during those times were just outstanding. His name was low, but his vision was always high. In 1982, with the strong support of CEOs, including GE, IBM, Kodak, Coke Industries, and folks, in the low gallery. He then declares approval signature to the Center for Industrial Innovation, CII, began construction in 1984 and passed away completed in 1987 and then beforehand. One final addition to that, in 1999, the 30th anniversary of man landing on the moon, with NASA's permission and the contribution of moon rocks and other items, Shirley Malloy and Shirley worked for George at NASA for many years, became witness for many years, worked for him directly for many years as well. Shirley and I had a committee to create her Stacy, celebrating the 30th anniversary of landing man on the moon. There were about 12,000 people who came to Stacy, held in Field House, and came in and out over the week and a half. There were 12 men who walked on it, and 4 of those were RPI during instance, one of them most of the memorabilia in the low gallery was on loan display at that time, very odd, and it was at that time that she decided to give that as permanent pictures. That's what led to the low gallery. So following that, he following my co-chair committee to plan, design, create, and so on, with many other people, the low gallery is a permanent home for those memorabilia. But beyond that, George Lowe had an unusual contribution to smart. Sure, he was smart, he was academically smart, but he was people smart and he was common sense smart. Good theory. As a result, he was outstanding, certainly in the space program, and certainly in career for being president. He's known better than Sam, who was in his own right a highly accomplished and successful individual, both personally and professionally. Dedicated served as administrative trustee of Family and Board of Trustees for many years, and he'll review the breadth and depth of your contribution, as it should do 25 years project. So, I don't know yet, I'm still out of time. So, having to do the built environment as the building itself, George was actually a building of people more than anything else. He could identify those with certain spark, fire in the belly, or entrepreneurial talent, flair, talent for leadership, and expand their horizons, scale up their responsibility. So we can benefit more people than necessary as a whole. So we have sitting up here as well, was one of those people who George encouraged to become more than he was capable of being. And he gives them broader and higher level of responsibility by George, and David will hopefully elaborate on that. A couple of comments on the gallery itself, and I'll try to complete my thoughts with that. As I tour the gallery, it's usually short, and don't spend a short time here. Endless number of things that you want to observe, reading, writing, so miss dinner, stay over, and have breakfast. It's really a delightful place, and a unique place. Again, 40 humanity, but certainly for your designer and us, what he did and what the people who work with. So I have some special memories that just briefly. First thing that there's a book of flags that you see on the back, flags that happened to be George used to have it on the cocktail table in the living house. And I went in there every time I did it. He was going to borrow and I come to under the camera. It was wonderful under the cocktail. He said, "You want to take this picture? Use my camera." I came over. He went to go get it. Of course, I won't tell you after the fact. You have to tell me that you should shoot up, not down, and so mine will blue and green, and I put it. But the fact of the matter is, he came back and allowed me to get the camera. I was looking through the book. So somewhere on there, we got out my fingerprints, but don't want me to do it. Then there's a letter from George that he wrote in October 17, 1960. It's program chief of the spaceflight, the director of the spaceflight program. It began as follows. It has become increasingly apparent that a preliminary program for manned lunar landing should be organized. But this was well in advance of President Kennedy saying what we're going to do. This letter is often cited as the original representation of the U.S. to land the man on the moon. The handwritten response to this is rather probably more significant than a letter. Normally, a letter like that let's unite and say, let's go to the home country, let's go to, what do you think? We have committees and subcommittees and stuff, if we do that in the year 2050, we decide that it's not a good deal. On that letter, and it was written, by then the director of NASA, well, okay, so look at the letter, and look at the letter, that's all it said. And then Kennedy started, oh, we had a letter, nice to do it. So that's very true. The letter is, in fact, where is the original letter? Hangs in the Smithsonian Institution. So that's another thing I want to look at. There's also a copy of a painting by Norman Rockwell, which also hangs in the Smithsonian. And it highlights 26 people censored with the George book. Next to him, right next to where I'm wrong. But you can't find George Weinberger, and you see George next to him. You can't find him, well, good luck. We intentionally didn't put up any plaque on it that enumerates who's in the picture. Someday we'll do that, but we're supposed to be so bright, so positive, that we find out who's who. So I'd like you to look at that without any citation being good. So there's one other thing in the Bible asking me to speak about this. All of this, I think in terms of describe George, the person, that's really kind of person. He was always there when he was in the position. It was almost as if when he spoke to him, if you lucky to spoke to him because there's nothing. So he came along, he kept him busy, he was a nice man. So one day he came into lunch, and lunch was considered right in here, which is the back staff. And he came in and we had to have Aaron with him. I like, Aaron, well, what about son? He was 6th grade at the time, 11 years old. And George Floyd, he kept sitting there, sat down next to him. And the chat with him, doesn't 15, 20 minutes. He's not a good talk. So, in fact, this guy, when he was doing the report on the krypton planet, and so George was explaining this and that about orbital mechanics and what kind of thrust you need, so on and so on. Some extraordinary. Okay, so that was again a wonderful one. Thank you very much, President Paul. And that was it. 2 days later, I was out from him. He was the secretary of the command. He calls it, where is it? The report. Some say they bring you the report. I go, so sorry. Nothing to do. You're sitting around. So I zoomed home. I didn't wait for them. Zoomed home. Zoomed back. Took the report. Okay, it's all good. So a couple days later, guess what? Son had to see. So he goes to school. Oh, yes. All right. Can't you point me to see? Took him to Dolphins had all the Saturn, D5, and all the rockets that proceeded and explaining how it worked, thrust, and so on. Finally sat down and he met over with his story. Now, the reason I'm getting to is what is this relevant to in reality? There's a green pen in reality. George always had a green pen, green felt his pen. I and many others have all kinds of files marked up with this green pen. Okay? Guess what? George marked up this report. You're not going to do this, you're going to have to move around the moon here and do this, and you're going to and so on and so on. So it was really exciting and experience that the child once in a while. So home, great thing, my son again, he calls and says, you know what? That's the problem. I can't see more. Before the days of electronics, before the cell phone, and he took pictures of magazines, cut it out, pasted it on the own food, and he physically had done all this. Okay? So he decided on his own, cognizance, smarter about it, and he's actually a smarter man. Turns out he writes down a little letter to the teacher. In cursive, I might say, which by the way, from all the time. It's not cool. So he wrote a letter to the teacher, it was my father's fault, he took this to the president of our club, he marked it all up, and so on and so on. He handed it in, came back, and and the point is, this is about George, not about his son. So, A for my son, plus B. And I don't know this is a plus B. So, I think, 3 on 3. and yet what they need. The meat that they tried in the past and have baked in the future. They just enhance salary, certificate to get to know George, and what it's good for in the country. And motivate all those who follow back in life and career, driven by an innate and insatiable curiosity, fueled by continual renewable passion for knowledge. Everything there epitomizes one of his quotable quotes: imagination can achieve reality.
Thank you, Ed. Our next speaker is Michael Waltholder, who came to RPI in the mid-1970s as an adjunct professor in the School of Architecture, where he taught for many years. In 1978, he was asked by President George Lowe to staff feasibility study for the building of a technology community on a major parcel of land owned by RPI in North Greenwich. This study and subsequent analysis led to the creation of the Rensselaer Technology Park. Michael served as its director for 34 years. Michael oversaw both the ongoing development of the park and the management of the Rensselaer Incubator Program, where he was charged with conducting reviews of the patenting, licensing, and commercialization of campus-based technologies. Michael's contributions have been essential in the recognition RPI has earned as an economic development engine in this region. Join me in welcoming Michael Waltholder.
Development still increasing. Now, with that said, I'm going to comment about other things. The Georgetown RPI in 1976 evolved within, I think, lessons from the negotiation. And he translated those lessons into RPI, the capital region in which we're located, and the University of North America. And when they write the book, not just about space, but about the history of the American University, George Bolton served as the entire chapter. And I want to share with you a few of my thoughts about that. Number one, in putting man on the moon, they have to build partnerships. Partnerships in industry, education, and government. They would never happen unless George and others recognize that certain education is a fundamental service to solve big problems. Turn to industry to build solutions, and turn to government to finance and to administer solutions. And the Georgetown RPI, and I think that will be, he preached a lot about partnerships between education and government as the future of RPI and the future of the American University. And the rest is history, actually. Every university is doing it. It's translated to such a fact. And they're all proceeding because and they guided George in defining initiatives for their career. So that was the first kind of enduring lesson from space to the American University. Number two, the idea of interdisciplinary research with campus. And up for that, and I think we were very much disciplined found. We were interdisciplinary and seldom wandered beyond. But to put man on the moon, you have to get outside your own discipline and interact with other disciplines. In this case, equipment improvement, that's one way to solve the problem. And then at RPI, we got into interdisciplinary research and sort of transformed research at RPI, and it remains to this day sort of driving force. Now, the last thing I want to mention is probably from my perspective, the most incredible thing we do at the course of campus, and that is really transformed all of the universities of American society. Universities on this mission and technology of all of the and I can remember, I want to share with you two memories. One of the most important memories from my career was, and this is sort of part was going to George's residence. I can't remember why, but that had something to do with the textile. But to be called to his house was a real privilege. And we would receive you and bring you to his den. And when he entered his den, he would listen to people speak from that point on. Because the den was more or less a mini low gallery. And in it was incredible portraits and photographs of the astronauts, the space program, the rockets. It was mesmerizing to be in that room and take it to the work. And West Africa. But that memory has been with me since that day, probably in, I can't tell you when, long 1969. I've never forgot it. I feel sick. You know, the things on the wall. And thank goodness for Mary Arlo, who gave those memories to RPI, who will be with RPI for a lifetime, and will inspire our students, and not just our students, but our faculty, as well as our staff. And, you know, you can't escape going to that. So anyway, I want to share that thought. This whole concept of economic development, I just want to touch on for a moment. And then the second thing I want to recall, early on, one of the first assignments I got at RPI as a semi-young guy coming to the university, was out of action by George and these people to do an economic impact analysis of the university on the community. Because in those days, the university started we have allowed leadership around these ideas. And the only president to do it all on every single government or in politics or in industry or whatever, or labor union, whatever the role, or and that we have to start an organization that will allow the around it. And that little effort has transformed over the years to what is now the Center for Economic Development. The origin, the CEG, industry, was the capital so, what did I do? We transformed the American movement into a much broader, greater place, and playing a role that was significantly greater than just education. And now our universities are defining the future of our economy. And I can go on and on tell you about the massive growth and the holding of the researchers and many companies that have really redefined that. And I could go on about other things. But because we're running past our time, I'll begin by saying George Bush changed the culture of our economy into an entrepreneurial culture, and the influence of every other university in this country. Thank you for letting me be part of this.
Thank you, Michael. I am very happy to introduce you to David Adams, who I consider a friend of many years. David came to RPI, I believe, in 1960, earning his bachelor's degree in architecture, a 5-year program. He remained here to earn his master's degree, and then he remained here again. First as a faculty member, eventually becoming dean of the School of Architecture, and later in administration, taking on the role of Institute Vice President for Student Affairs and Institute Vice President for Advancement. The retirement David is still often asked for his special assignments by RPI. Among the many times David has been recognized for his contributions to his alma mater was in 2007. It was presented to the Alumni Association Distinguished Service Award, the highest honor presented by the National Alumni Association. Please welcome my friend, David Adams.
So it's time for a little audience participation. One of the things I love about fraternity, thank you, by the way, for inviting SAE, is that we represent so many generations. Of course, Del 5 of 150-year history, more than almost any that are not quite. 2 months. That's right, they had theirs in April. How many folks in this room, men and women, met in this hall? That's a very good number. How many of you met where they are? Small and consistent. Thank you. You know, I think looking back, I got older, looking back at all the wonderful people I've worked with, and Roger pointed out, I spent my entire career I met some really extraordinary people. Faculty, staff, trustees, and most especially students are now one. And I can say that I was blessed to have known very close. And I was double blessed to have worked with people. I know I shared, at least the first one, with about half of you in the room, as hands, and everybody on the podium. An extraordinary. As Lester pointed out, George Law was very famous when he came to RPI, but not in Troy. In fact, Mark Lowe, in his letter, referred to his mother, Mary R., as being the Troy girl, as she was. You know, the headline in the Troy record was George Lowe, was appointed president of RPI. Here's a man who took America to the moon. The headline was, New Architecture
Mary Arlo, extraordinary woman. Mary R. McNamara. The R had no period after it. There was a reason for that, which I long forgot. But an extraordinary woman. And, George was all work. He was enthusiastic. You see pictures of him smiling. He was inspirational. But he worked all the time. The man who got up at 5 in the morning, started his day at about 6. I can remember the 6 o'clock evening, and there was no breakfast. Because, breakfast was down the way. It was about work. And Mary R. made everything happen for a wonderful family, and I could say a wonderful man. When George arrived at RTI, he quickly discovered, now I'm sure, truth and disclosure, trustees had pointed this out to him, but he didn't really know until he got here. The president didn't have a staff. The president had a secretary. That was about the entire staff, by the way. But George came from NASA. He had a lot of ideas. He worshipped ideas. When ideas came up, he had rooms full of staff, young, bright engineers, many of them are graduates, I might say, who would staff these things out. He discovered here there was universities don't have it. Faculty, very small support staff, by large, and students. So he did look around the institute, and he said, who can I co-opt in this place to do stuff? And he picked a number of us to do it. And he pushed us all out of our comfort zones. He pushed us beyond, as Les pointed out, what we thought we could do. I was associate dean of the School of Architecture, advising students, teaching, doing research, sort of mired in the work of RTI. There were many of us, and George said, oh, we need a new telephone system. We've got to talk, who you know, who comes up. You find a faculty resource, maybe even a student. He loved youth. He loved ideas. He was very, very good at what he did. 400,000 of them, let's say, put together. George probably didn't need all 400,000, but he inspired many of them. When he arrived here, he discovered I was an architect. He looked at all these buildings. And by the way, they were pretty tough. The Institute had built a lot of buildings at the turn of the 20th century. They built through the first 35 years of the 20th century, built some post-war buildings like freshman dorms, a colleague of mine called a fine example of neo architecture. And the president said, we need to go, I need to step foot in every room in every one of these buildings. So it's my pleasure to lead Lowe on what became increasingly known as spacewalks. There was a lot to look at. There was a lot not so much. After he had seen one or two of them from the outside, he said, David, we have to put together, I want to see all the women's records on the campus. Because, trust me, Paul the Ricketts, who built most of these buildings, had no use for women. It was in a time when there were no women in his administration, and there were no women's toilets in the red brick building. The men's toilets were in the basement. Some of you may remember. Rick's philosophy was, if you're going to waste your time doing that, you could darn well walk through it. So all these buildings, and this is the reference, just a small example, as Mike pointed out. Lowe was a man of big vision, big ideas, where he could always connect the big, the grand, and the inspirational with the stuff that people deal with every day. If those things don't work, the big ideas don't work. Les mentioned the memos, and you'll see some over in the gallery. He mentioned the green pen that George always used. What Les didn't mention was that pen had a name. It was called the Green Hornet. George did not waste any words. And when you got a Green Hornet, you felt like you were bit by a hornet. You got up and you got it done. He was a man who was grateful for everything and everybody around him, but he felt he didn't need to say that. He was not a man who gave away compliments very often. I did something, I forget what it was,
said, David, the president's written a memo to you. You need to come down and pick it up. Thinking it's going to be another Green Hornet. And why can't you just put that in the mail? So I go down, she personally, since I've asked you to come down here, I'm going to personally hand you this, because it's a thank you note. And these are very, very rare. And I learned how rare they were. He simply expected you would perform up here. And then he inspired you to do that. And with that, he got all these things that people up here have been talking about. I think the last thing I want to say about love was his humility. For a guy who did not need to be humble about anything, he is one of the most humble people I've ever met. He had a respect for faculty, in part because they were men and women of ideas, and he worked with a lot of those in NASA, and in part because he never was one. He said it once to me, he said it 10 times. I've never gone through the promotion process, tenure process. These are rituals which I have never done. I'm a simple man. George Lowe did not have an earned doctorate, he had honorary doctorate. He was in awe of people who had that kind of training and that kind of impact. And it wasn't just PhDs, he was kind of everybody. My good fortune to, with several of us here, to be here when he came. And I can remember standing in this hospital, 3 or 4 days before he died. He had cancer. He was clearly about to die. Trustees, the infinite wisdom, you ask the trustees here today, and know it was infinite. Real Bartman's talk, that's good. Of course, he's one of yours. But the trustees had voted to name the Center for Industrial Innovation after George Lowe. That was never George's intention. He was too humble to put his name on it. But he was very sick. He was about to die. It was his project, and the trustees did it. A group of us gathered in his hospital room doing the photo. George could not share with us, unfortunately, to sort of last act at our dinner. And he said to me on that day, I'm sure I wasn't the only one, but we were all sort of saying how wonderful many things he's done, sort of looking at him and everything. He said, I've enjoyed my time as president. I think we've done some very good things here, but I'm glad that I'm not going to continue to do that. And I think this is about his health. And he said, no, it's because I've done what I came to do. And I think it's time for other people now to do it. And that was George right to the core. Humble, aware, not of his fame, though he was very famous, but aware that he was simply a part of a much larger thing. And it was time for other people. I have to say that I think he died very, very comfortably in that way. Let me conclude by going back to where I started. I said it's a blessing to know somebody like George Lowe, double blessing to work with him. And I think it's the third blessing to work today, and that is you, Delta Phi Fraternity, for taking this wonderful treasure, exhibit. It is an exhibit on so many levels, devices, stuff that's been to the moon. Lester pointed out the memo, which is always my favorite category item for this exhibit, because this memo is what, was Henry Nicolay sent us to the moon. So I'm glad that you folks took up the opportunity to make sure this exhibit was on a tribute to this man. Really, really, thank you.
Also an architecture student, Sam went on to establish development, construction, and management companies. He has an architect's eye for possibilities. Sam's contributions to RPI are legendary, that are too numerous to mention in brief introduction. He became an institute trustee in 1977, and in 1995 assumed the chair of the board of trustees, serving as such for 15 years. You will see a quote by Santander inscribed on the wall in the low gallery that perfectly describes George Lambda. His organizational genius made the seemingly impossible a reality. As an aside, Sam, we at Delta Phi owe you a debt of gratitude. In the past 7 years, we have held our annual alumni event after night. And we thank you for that vision, thank you for bringing that vision forward. That building is always needed, and we appreciate it very, very much. It's maybe premature, but I want to thank you. And I want you to know also that when we asked Neil Martin to check with Santander and invite him, we wanted him to know that he would be welcome here. And Neil told me he couldn't even finish the sentence before saying, yes, I'll come. And he flew from Maine this morning, and he's flying to Baltimore this evening. He came just for this. He's a pilot. And, but he went through all of that to be here with us. And thank you.
Well, I'm not sure about all that, but anyway, I want to say first of all, what you as the attorney done here for 20 years is just outstanding. Just, I mean, there's no words to describe the loyalty that you've shown to one of your own, who is one of the most outstanding individuals in America. You want to be proud. Another thing I had this afternoon is after having heard talks by 3 other gentlemen here, the advantage we get is instead of all I have to say, it's a lot shorter than it might be. But anyway, I'd just like to kind of put a human side to some of the things that happened while we were here, because I was kind of weak down the block before. He called me a great summer. I first went to it, I was on the next house, and George spoke at one of our gatherings, and we met twice a year here at Arsenal. It's a group that was interested in doing things for Arsenal. That popular to keep us out. Anyway, we were doing Arsenal and we did. And in the early fall, late summer of 77, I had a call out of my office, George called, and he said, Sam, I'd like you to consider going on the board of trustees next year. And of course, at that time, I'm head down, I'm going full out, I told him to do it half, you know what I'm saying. And I thought for a minute, and I said, George, I will be honored. And I was honored for a couple of reasons. First of all, one of the best things that ever happened was to talk about our job. And I want to tell you, it was a struggle, but I got out. I love it. The other thing was that a man like George Lowe had asked me to join the board of trustees last year. And I was just no way I would say no. And it started a relationship that kind of went on the whole time that George and I associated together. And you've heard my talk about the tech park and all the things that George put together. George had a vision. George was on the board of trustees, but he was selected as president. So he kind of knew the drill. It wasn't like we brought him in from East Side Park and dumped him down here at the board of my house. He understood. what RPI needed. And RPI in the early 70s had come off, 30 years past the war. RPI was still a great school, but it had not progressed as schools should and could have in those days. And George understood that. And you've heard the other study of how he looked at that whole concept. What do we do? Because we got to go on. Having put down the moon, George understood. It can get done. And he set out to do it. And a lot of the things that George accomplished were driven by that vision of his. RPI, in its way, had set George up. George had the same loyalty to RPI, and I know all of you have, that I have. George understood this was his opportunity to pay back for what RPI did to him. So we talked about some of the things that happened, and we were meeting, talking about the programs we wanted to do, the things that we didn't get to do. But as Michael illustrated, one of the things that one early on we really had in mind, we wanted to do this and the Stanford thing was a role model. But George understood that it took research. In other words, his vision was that all the things that George was beginning to put together for Pennsylvania were based around getting not only the building the relationships between government, industry, and education, but also getting RPI in the business of research. And the quote is out, you can't be a great university if you don't do great research. George understood that. And he had seen what happened in Palo Alto. And what was coming out of there in those days, and that was just in those days, in the late 70s, it was just beginning. George understood that. So anyway, again, my office is April of 1979, George called me. He said, Sam, I'd like to take a look at a piece of property that RPI on, because I don't want to go into that. I want to do sort of what they did out. So I said, fine. So I flew up, George and I went out, and we looked at the property. We walked all around. And if you haven't been there, it's George's piece of property. Michael, 34 years at the Mr. Tech Park, has done an absolutely stunning job. It really is just, it's cool in RPI time. But in those days, it was a lot of things. Every time. But you could see all the you could see everything. So anyway, we walked around, and then we went downtown with that same one, sitting there. George said, Sam, what do you think? I said, George, it's any place beautiful downtown Florida. But I said, being where it is, given the industrial base inventory area, it's totally fine. But I said, I think we can do this. You know, George never took one word and the big comments. George had people research things. So George said, well, let's hire a consultant, and we'll see whether or not they can do it. You all know what consultants. They're guys from out of town. They come in, they borrow your watch, they tell you what time it is, and they send you a bill. Most consultants in the audience, I apologize. But in essence, we hired quality slide out all. And they're a big real estate firm. And they wrote this wonderful report. Size of bill, $15,000, was 1979. And it said, not good, right? Can't let everything go. You don't have the economic base there. That is much. So anyway, we sat down and said, George, notwithstanding what it's all inside the expert so he said, all right, I'm going to point to the chair committee and you figure this out. So I said, I got some help. He said, well, let's get somebody out of the school of architecture to help. Well, about that time, Michael was available. So we got Michael, and between the two of us, we kind of worked this thing together. And then Jay Moore, who was the vice president in charge of finance, administrator, that day, it was all in one, Jay 7. So anyway, Jay was involved because he was talking to Jay and figure out how we're going to pay for this. And we put the estimates together, put the whole plan together, and we needed $3 million out of the job. So, in 81, it took us 2 years to do this. And out of this, a lot of knowledge. We did our own local survey, out of it basically came nature. We didn't have this system aside, but we grew out of that. And it turned out to be a success all on its own, something totally unexpected when it came out of it. So anyway, we go to Dallas, there's Eric Johnson's house, and we went down there for a worship at our planning center. And it was Michael Kay and myself, and we started our around the planning center, and our out and we all and we're in the middle of this ditch. We get about halfway through, Tommy Thompson pulls up and Tommy Thompson pulls up and says, "You can stop. Stop. We got the moment. Stop." And that was the day when we went for technology. And George, to the day died, that was George's, one of George's technology. Really believed in it, and it turned out that it did exactly what George wanted. Some other things that were going on at the same time. George put a program together called Counselor 2000, which is a combination of all these ideas that we could have talk about George had. And we put together the plan for Counselor. Now it's called Counselor Plan. Those days, it was Counselor 2000. It wasn't as elaborate as the plan today, but it was very well defined on what George's vision for Counselor was. And a number of the things that were necessary out of that, not only the start of the centers that we wanted to begin, but we also needed a new IBM 360. That was the best of our computer that we got. Anyway, the IBM 360 in those days was the epitome of it. And it cost $5 million. Well, our guy didn't have $5 million. George said, gotta have it. In the meantime, there was a discussion about where we would come to. And the idea, and it had already passed the board preliminarily, is we were going to tear down the chapel. And in true IBM fashion, they were going to build 4-wall windows, concrete blocks with a back roof. In its place, that was going to house the roof. So one of our executive committee meetings was down in New York in Williamsville. Williamsville was very, very old building, very ornate, sitting in this room. And I don't like to kind of talk to people like this. I'm sitting there, I'm sitting there looking, and of course, when you're a new guy on the block, you don't really say too much to all these guys are pretty good. But anyway, I'm looking up and I'm thinking about this box, being an architect, had to do it. So I took George aside after the meeting, and I said, George, I said, that room looks really like George went back to the board and he said, we're not going to tear down. We're going to put the IBM 360 in that. And he did. And it was our first nationwide. We got press all over. The architectural press gave you nothing. It was just a visionary thing. But that's what he did. That's how he thought. He thought he was on that level. When he started before this sentence, I don't get it confused by 30 sentences. Never forget. George told me one time, he said, he called the tables back. We're going out and we're going to pick these stars and tables back. And we're going to turn them into building center tonight. As George put out, he began to talk to these folks in the local conference. What he told me was, he said, his biggest disappointment was when he told them, you're not free. That was true. That's what he said. He said, there's some things you're not doing. And it just spurred him on. It changed his idea. He said, we will put in place at Rensselaer what it takes to be good enough. That the technical excellence, the alternative fields we want, we need consistency, will come around. And they did. They did. And look where we are. Look at the research of the along those lines, I'm talking about the one night. In 1978, George, in order to do all this, we didn't have $5 million clear. George recognized we needed more resources. We didn't want to be expensive. We set up a campaign, capital campaign. That's what better done. We had gifts, we had some gifts, we had a little bit of funding. We had never done what first class campaign. So in 1978, George put together a committee to start a capital campaign. And the goal was modest, it's $38 million. We began in 1978, a fair amount of money. Charlie Wright and I were co-chairs of the National Alumni. We traveled all over, and we had George, we had George tell a lot of us because we would go set it up and then George would come to get his pitch and what he wanted to do. And the end result of that, in 3 years, we raised $52 million. And that was the impetus behind what gave George the ability to go forward and do what he knew he needed to be done. That was money that just had never been asked for. And everybody, and I'll tell you something else, everybody in those days had the impression that, well, engineers are engineers. And they sort of kept the chief engineer of the company, but they never really did. Well, I'm going to tell you what, that's a lot of money. Engineers wind up owning a lot because they know what they're doing. What we found out in that campaign, prior to that campaign, it has taken one hand to count all the people that have ever been elected there $100,000. We got done with the campaign in 3 years. It took 2 hands to count the numbers would give us a million. That was what George was doing. He brought Rensselaer to its alumni. He showed the alumni that Rensselaer was worth investing in. It had never been done before. And I think it was one of the biggest pieces of his vision. Because without the wherewithal to do the vision, he couldn't have done it. But George agreed that one story, set it on here. You know, we just got off the campaign here 2 years ago, I reached 1.4 billion. But that just to me, 1981, was a lot of money, and it was in the good. And as part of that, while we're out and traveling around, just other schools, see how they're doing, their campaigns, that kind of thing. And we saw what they were doing for their alumni. And most of them, I don't say all, but most of them had some kind of alumni facility, some kind of alumni house. Some had limited rooms, some had just, whatever rooms they had. But it was there for the alumni. Why go for it? Well, we need to do something. I want to go on, because I think it's part of the next step in this process. We need to do something that gives the alumni something tangible on the plate. And it was the one thing that George and I totally disagreed on the entire time. Was that George could not understand why you would spend that kind of money building something like that when you could build a perfectly good electrical. That was the one piece that George and I really, we had our goal. We finally got it done, and in 1984, when George, right towards the end, when George knew that he wasn't going to survive, he made a point of calling every single worker, talking, and we had a lengthy conversation. And it was a difficult conversation because George's medication had been very hard to hear me by that time. But it was an interesting conversation, and I'm starting on because in the entire conversation, George's attitude was forward. George was talking about where he's going to go, he's going to go forward, he's going, it's your responsibility, this belongs to you, we're on our way, make sure that it stays on track. It was a wonderful conversation, never stopped. And it really was typical George Law. David said, George expected everybody to work together. And those who get associated with try to like help because they didn't want to get it. The CII, which is part of all of this, we were kind of wonderful work, was a result of George's vision to improve the research capability. And when we had the idea, rounded up our house of trustees, the governor, persuade them to commit to build the building back. And it was just that. I mean, all it was an idea. And they went to the governor. We got a $33 million loan. We just on it. And we go to CII. And that interest only the principal part of the county later, that is now different. Laws and process now be private and David was a large artist. But that was what George did. George saw what needed to be done. And again, all I can say is, if you have done for George, I think huge. I only can say thank you for what you've done. Thank you.
To our four speakers, please accept our gratitude. We're so grateful to you here today, and the history lesson you was learned. Thank you so much. At this time, I ask that Phil Tabro, our Alumni Association president, come forward to receive a special resolution of recognition from RPI. Presenting the resolution is Dr. Jeffrey Kent, who currently fills two very important positions within the administration. Jeff is Assistant Vice President for both Alumni Relations and Institute Advancement. He is also the Executive Director of the Rensselaer Alumni Association. Jeff.
Because I wear two hats, the first thing I do have to do before I do this is on behalf of Institute Advancement, I certainly thank Roger and all of Delta Phi. Roger's right, we raised all this money just Delta Phi brothers, and that's a big accomplishment. As you know, the Institute's not used to refusing money from other people, but we did that for Roger, and so congratulations. I want to point out as Executive Director of the Rensselaer Alumni Association, you actually have 3 Delta Phi's on the board. Neil Barton, 58, Institute Trustee Designate, and David Gertler, Class of 83. So as you can imagine, it's passed unanimously, quite quickly. So if you'll allow me, Phil, I'll read this. Whereas the Lambda
chapter of Delta Phi fraternity was established at Rensselaer on June 28, 1864. And whereas Delta Phi has taken the lead role in the preservation and renovation of the George M. Lowe Gallery and the Lowe Center for Industrial Innovation, in recognition of one of its most distinguished brothers, space pioneer, engineer, and educator, George M. Lowe, class of 1948. Whereas the men of Delta Phi have played an important role in the development and history of Rensselaer, as evidenced by campus locations such as the Houston Field House, named for Livingston W. Houston, 13, the Lowe Center for Industrial Innovation, named for George M. Lowe, 48, Barton Hall, named for Cornelius J. Barton, 58, Walker Laboratory, named for William W. Walker, class of 1886, in all 6 church dorms in the Quad, named for Townsend B. Church, class of 1881. And whereas Delta Phi fosters strong lifelong connections among members and supports the academic and personal development of its brothers, and whereas the Brotherhood of Delta Phi has helped Rensselaer to, quote, change the world, counting many distinguished leaders among its alumni, including 3 Rensselaer presidents, 7 Institute Board of Trustee members, 3 inductees into the Rensselaer Alumni Hall of Fame, 5 presidents of the Rensselaer Alumni Association, and Rensselaer's first Grand Marshal, Albert M. Harper, class of 1867. And therefore, be it resolved that the Rensselaer Alumni Association wishes to express our sincere congratulations and gratitude to the Lambda chapter of Delta Phi fraternity for being a shining example to Rensselaer and the great community of campus leadership, community service, academic excellence, and support of its brothers for the past 150 years. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jeff. Before we conclude and walk over a short distance to the Lowe Gallery, I ask that our undergraduates, they're already raised it with us, so I'm not keeping them out. They're going to help us out. I'm asking that our undergraduates and most recent graduates step outside and kind of act as guides before entrances to the Lowe Gallery. There are 2 on one side, including elevators, and there are 2 on the other side, and they will direct you to them. But I also wanted to ask a favor. So many people here, and the Lowe Gallery, really will get caught up. So it'll take a while to get through it. So I'm asking if you want to do this, it's fine. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But for those who are scheduled to go on the afternoon tour, if some of you would want to go on the tour first, and then end up at the Lowe Gallery after the crowd is dissipated today, that would be fine. If you want to do this, please kind of go to the back of the room. Our tour guides will be back there, and we'll make a determination at that time. If there are people who want to go on the tour, then great. If you go on the tour, you'll end up at the Lowe Gallery anyway. If not, you're free to go over there. You may have to wait a little while. When you're there, make sure to spot George's Delta Phi mug, his pin, his ring, and also a photo of George as an undergraduate with his fellow